Okay, Corbyn, I'm back to your razor. This is what your bevel looks like at the edge right now. I've been using a 1000 grit king, and I put about maybe 500 strokes on each side of the razor. In doing so, I was able to reduce that area of rust that we saw that looked like this is actually a little bit greater, because this itself is after I started working on the bevel. You can tell by the 1000 grit scratches. And here is another view of that rust as I began to reduce it more and more. So what we have now are these 1000 grit scratches, and let me tighten in on that focus a little bit. Okay, so these are 1000 grit scratches from a king, and the steel at the edge here, all that above the pencil line is floppy, weak. It's like a false edge, we call it, or a feather edge. That's all going to be removed in the sharpening refinement using a razor hone. So that area there is probably around 10 microns wide from the edge to where the steel has a more uniform strength to it. So I'm going to work on that right now. Take your razor, and I have here my sharpening bench. This is the Japanese natural I'm going to be using. This is the king that I did all that work with. We're done with the king, so we'll just set that aside for now. So this is a basic Japanese stone, and it's a gray stone. It's not terribly hard, but it is fine, and it will do a lot of cutting on your blade here. I taped the blade with Kapton tape, just one layer. It helps protect the spine and just makes honing a little bit easier. So what I normally do is I begin with a diamond plate. This is a worn out Atama diamond plate. And using a slurry made with a diamond plate speeds up a lot of the honing process. So that was 20 strokes on one side. Got 20 on both sides now. And I'll reduce the stroke count. In half. And now we'll take a look at the razor's edge and see what kind of refinement we've been able to get. Okay. So this is after 41 strokes. We've replaced the 1000 grit scratch pattern and taken that really toothy looking edge, and we've revalued it to some degree, and we begin to replace it with a scratch pattern what in Japan they call a kasumi finish. It's a hazy finish. It's not mirror-like. So I'll take a photo of that. Let me focus in a little bit sharper and get one more. Okay, so this was with a slurry. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to thin out the slurry and begin to polish the blade up a little bit more. I don't like to eliminate the whole scratch pattern, but I do thin out this slurry with water. And one way to do that is basically you can just take a little slurry on the edge of the razor and rinse it off in the water. You bring back water. And then I would remove more of that slurry. Here again, I'm picking up a portion of it with the razor and just disposing of it in my water bath over there. And this will allow you to just add a little bit brighter polish onto your razor. So I'm gonna do a series of strokes here now, same kind of deal. There's 10. I use a diminishing stroke count. Okay, and I'm going to take off and remove a greater portion of that slurry with that last stroke. And then I'll just do just a few with water only. Okay, so this is going to illustrate how the refinement process works with Japanese naturals. We've been using this towards the base of the bevel here. Let me pull that up one more time. Right here. Here again is where the hollow ground portion of the razor is and where the bevel begins for your razor. And you can see down here there's still a good bit of the kasumi finish that we were talking about. But as you move up now towards the edge, the edge itself is brighter. I'm focusing in and out a little bit, but you can see that kasumi finish is quite a bit reduced. So I'll take a photo of that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I do have a good strop, and I'm going to take the razor, and this is my Kanayama strop, and I'm going to clean up the edge even more on the strop. Okay, we'll view the razor again. Let's see how that looks. Actually, I don't think I wiped the razor clean enough. Let me dip it in water. The strop can leave a certain amount of junk on the razor, and I think that's what we were looking at there. There we go. Okay, so it looks like we have, you can see how bright the edge has gotten, but we revealed some deep scratches there and some irregularities in the edge. I'm going to take a photo of that. So we're going to go back to the stone and work out some of those issues. Honing a razor is a process. There's times when you have to go backwards a bit. Okay, in this case I would use a Tomo Nagara now, which is an alternate grit source. This is a Japanese natural, and it's going to leave a slurry that's a combination of the base stone and the Tomo, and it's going to be a slurry that has a certain amount of crush to it. The slurry itself, because of the friction between the two stones, will be a finer slurry than what the Atama plate would have provided. So we got a light slurry going there. Actually, I think that stone was just a little too hard. This Tomo Nagara might be a little bit softer. Yeah, that was a better provider there. Okay, so I'm going to just go through the same process, count my strokes. Okay, so we got a little bit more refinement now. There's a little bit of a divot going on right there, which I would like to take care of. And there is some more irregularity. It's relatively shallow though. And I think just for the sake of ending up with a really good edge, I'm going to go back to the stone, just do a little bit more work. Okay, and then I'm going to strop again. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that's a piece of lint. That's a three-dimensional object there. Okay, so this is what our edge has come to look like. And you can again see how the stropping brightened up the edge quite a bit. But that's very close to being honing towards the core of the quality of the steel. There are photos out there of edges like this at 200 and 400 power, and some of course at 2000 and 5000 guys with digital handheld microscopes that they hook up to their cameras, which aren't really at 5000 power. But these are individual scratches, and that's quite a close-in look at what an edge really is. So next thing we're going to do is, I have some hair, and we'll see if this razor will pass the HHT test. Which in my book is an indicator of how a shave might go with a razor. That was HHT 3 or 4. It bounced back towards me. So that was a little bit difficult. That was a 4. That was a 4. These are 4s and 5s at this stage. I think with just a little bit extra stropping, we might be able to kick these back up. Let me just strop it. Bring it up into a solid 5 level. But I do shave test all of my razors, and these are looking very positive. So it's a little bit of a ping going on here. Now, I'm not saying that I'm the greatest at honing razors, but I do shave with them, and these are not really bad results here. That looked a little weird. That one didn't HHT very cleanly. But these are good shaveable results here, and I will test your razor, and I think we'll come out on top with this. That whole honing session took about 20 minutes.